Well, I think capitalism doesn't necessarily address them, but it can address some of the social. It can address social problems, and it can help ease some of the. I know that social. I think capitalism, because it can allow the capitalists, and many of the capitalists in our Australian society are our greatest philanthropists. So in that way, capitalism through philanthropy, we think of Bill Gates, who is a capitalist, he's made his money through the capitalist system. Or if we think of our local benefactors, whether it's here Richard Pratt or Gandel, John Gandel, in the Jewish community and the wider community. I'm just thinking through their capitalism. They are addressing many of the inequities in our society, and they are helping research, and they are helping education. So there are many ways that capitalism can help people grow and develop. It's control, it's authoritarian control of the lives of people, and trying to limit questioning and creativity and curiosity. I think it's one, and probably there's some basis for it, but a misconception that capitalism is just about greed. And of course, that's one of the dangers of capitalism, is that it can encourage greed, and greed at the cost of everything else. Is that greed and selfishness and the selfish pursuit of money and materialism for its own sake.
I think it was a wonderful idea that cannot ever work because it doesn't take into account human nature. I'm certainly not the first person to say that. Certainly, it's been identified by the very architects of the idea itself that it's not something that can really ever work. It doesn't ever take into account how humans behave, and so it's a beautiful idea, this wonderful notion that we can share everything, that everything is everybody's. And I'm certainly for the idea of big government. I think government has a role to play, but there's a balancing act, and we've just got to keep trying to find it.
Well, the party that I come from has a tradition of both a conservative tradition and a libertarian tradition there. It's some refer to it as a broad church. And that's one of the strengths of the Liberal Party of Australia, that it does have both conservatives as well as those who are libertarians. I'm a conservative myself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And one of the really good examples, in my view, of where a conservative approach rather than a change for change sake approach would have been great was in the debate when Premier Joan Kerner went about closing technical schools. Some people who opposed the closing of technical schools in the early 1990s and the late 1980s were told that they were too conservative and that they needed to change and progress, whereas history has shown us that closing those technical schools has caused immense damage not only to individuals but also to the economy. Mm-hmm. So if a conservative approach of somebody needing to clearly and effectively outline a need for change rather than just change for change's sake was taken, we would not have been in a situation where we would have lost those technical schools, in my view.
I would say that there's two. The first one is that socialism is about it's about imposing dictatorial central government control over every aspect of people's lives. And this has a basis in history in that you've had several states, not just Russia, that have called themselves communist or socialist throughout history that have done exactly this. You've had the USSR after about 1927, it's sort of hard to say when, but by 1927 it's unambiguous that this was the case. You've had China throughout pretty much all of the time since between Mao's rise to power and perhaps about 1990, and to varying degrees you've had other states, well, North Korea being the most extreme example of it. So I think that's the first misconception that comes to mind about socialism. The second, I would argue, is more a misconception about capitalism, but it comes up in relation to socialism all the time. And that is that the idea that socialism goes against human nature because it's human nature to be ruthlessly greedy, ruthlessly competitive, and therefore society can't be organised any other way.
I guess when reading different books and listening to different opinions and having different discussions, those were the arguments that I found to be most logical and most reasonable for the greater good. Of course, in any type of system, in any type of government, in any type of economy, there will always be someone that's left behind, there will always be someone that has a somewhat unfair advantage. Unfortunately, life is not fair. We are not all created equal. The aim of the government should not be to force equality onto everybody else. It should let people live their own lives, function their own way without any impediments. And capitalism agrees more with equality of opportunity rather than equality of outcome. The best problem that capitalism addresses is how to turn a dark age society into a normal modern society. Capitalism is the best way to bring people out of poverty, it's the best way to create goods, it's the best way to create services, it's the best way for... the best example that I could see is what issues capitalism addresses, we can look at Korea. If you look at Korea in the last 1,000 years, it's always been a very family-structured society where if you were born into the elite, you stayed in the elite. So I guess the feudal society is the best way to describe it. If you're born into the aristocracy, 99.9% of the time you'll remain there for generations to come. If you are born into the lower classes, no matter how smart you are, no matter how talented, no matter how brilliant you are, you could not progress. Capitalism allows people who are willing, who are driven, who are intelligent, who are productive to progress and move on. It allows you to be your truer self. You're not forced into any group, you're not forced into any caste. If you have the will and the drive to succeed, you will. If you don't, you won't. The thing is, I really like that general idea of communism. I just don't like the fact that it goes against human nature. It's not human nature to be 100% equal to anybody else, because at the end of the day, we're not all equal. Someone's more intelligent, someone's faster, someone's slower. It doesn't allow individual creativity.